We are in Duties of the Heart, and we're on page 511. And again, we're dealing with the Yetzer Hara. All his ways of trying to get us off the way have not worked thus far. So now he's going to appeal to us and say, he's going to appeal to our good side, if you will. So he says, I am happy, this is Yetzer Hara speaking, I am happy that you serve Hashem, that you trust in God deeply, and rely upon God in all of your affairs, and that you have freed your mind from the thought that any creature can help you without the Creator. I'm so proud of you. You are indeed one who trusts in Hashem truly and wholeheartedly. You've made it. That's his point. The Yetzer Hara's, yay, I've done my job. Oh, look at that. I was my coach, I was your coach, and I really got you to where you have to be. However, he continues, it's not right that you conceal from your fellow man the high degree of piety that you have attained. And now that you have attained mastery over yourself and have overcome your passions, it is proper to show your deeds to people and reveal your heart to them. Now, stop the speech here. What would happen if I'm such a tzaddik and I start bragging to people, or I tell them what I'm doing? But the problem is I'm bragging, right? Say it again?
Become an oxymoron.
It becomes an oxymoron? You mean
You become an oxymoron. If you're so pious, why are you telling us that?
If I'm so pious, why am I telling you? Good.
Like the guy who tells you, the guy who boasts about how humble he is.
How much what?
The guy, it's like the joke about the man who boasts about how humble he is.
Right, humble he is, right. This way, he continues, this way you'll be honored by them in this world and will leave a good name among them, as it says in Scripture. He even gives you proof from the Torah. It's very nice. I mean, from Isaiah. It's tremendous. I will give them in my house and within my walls a monument and a name better than sons or daughters. And then says Shmuel Beit, I will make you a great name and a name like the great ones in the world. So he's even giving you proof text of what he's saying to be true. That yes, you should tell people. By the way, what would be the reason to tell people? So they should emulate you. Okay, that's also something very big. If people are coming to you and they see you're a tzaddik and so on and so forth, and they see your success, they would want to emulate you. So that's why we put plaques up, right? Somebody gives a lot of money. You put a plaque up saying that they gave X, well, they don't say what X amount of dollars were, but
Graciously donated.
great, right? So they gave a donation. The hope of that donation is it will spur others on to want to donate. So here, if you start explaining to the person how much you believe in Hashem and so on and so forth, and so as a result of the belief in Hashem, I do A, B, and C, well, they also will want to do something like that. That would be the Yetzer Hara's continued, if he would continue. He's going to continue like that. That is really where you want to go with that. Okay, the Yetzer Hara is really using this logic. He says, moreover, people will learn from your conduct, and you will be rewarded through them. So not only are you going to be rewarded for what you do, now by telling them, you are going to help other people do that, and you're going to get their reward too. Right? Therefore, do not hide from them your deeds, except those that it is impossible to reveal and to show to other people. You will have honor and prestige in this world and a goodly reward in the world to come. That's what the Yetzer Hara says to you. And now some people will fall into that trap, some people won't. Rav Bachia says, I'm going to tell you what to tell the Yetzer Hara. Answered as follows. How will men's praise and a good name I will have among them benefit me, conscious as I am of my own inadequacy in the fulfillment of my obligations to the Creator, may He be exalted. I know what I'm missing. You don't know what I'm missing, but I know what I'm missing, he says. What benefit is there to me in the honor and respect they show me when it is not within their power to help me or protect me from harm? In this regard, they are no different from the plants or the non-rational animals. So if I'm going to tell everybody about my goodness or my piety, I should talk to the plants. I should sit down with the tree and tell the tree how wonderful I am, because I'll have the same result. Either I'll talk to my dog, cat, fish, turtle, or whatever any animal you want to pick on. He said, moreover, if I make this the motive of my actions, I may not succeed as I had intended in winning people's favor. They may form the impression that, like you were saying, I am hypocritical in my actions and consider me worthy of nothing but contempt and shame. In that case, I will have spoiled my deeds by not intending them for Hashem's sake, and will have failed to attain what I had hoped to receive from people in this world. You're going to be a braggadocious about this. No good. You can't do that. A king was once asked, that's the end of the quote. That's all you have to tell him. A king was once asked, how do you enjoy the reading of so-and-so? The reader had a sweet voice and was an expert in correct accentuation. The king replied, how could I enjoy his reading when his sole intention in reading it was to please me, so as to find favor in my sight? Had he intended to solely please the Creator, then it would have been sweet to me. So the same is true of those who lead the public prayers and the cantorial performers of the new liturgical hymns. If their intention in the prayer is to find favor with people rather than the Almighty, may He be exalted, such prayer is not acceptable to Hashem. You hear that? That's a harsh statement, right? If I'm going up to give a concert and I'm using the prayer as the cantorial pieces, then that prayer is not acceptable to Hashem. He says, say further to the evil inclination. It may be that if I receive honor in this world for my deeds, nothing will be left for me in the reward. Nothing will be left me of the reward for them in the world to come, since I've received it in advance in this world. Now, why would I want to do that? By the way, how would that help you fight the Yetzer Hara? What's the Yetzer Hara's whole argument to you?
Better in this world than the next.
Right, better in this world. You want to get in this world. Everything should be in this world. Yeah, you proved you love Hashem and you proved you trust Hashem, and that's great. Don't worry about everything. It's going to be good. And so now you're arguing with the Yetzer Hara. If I do this, I'm going to lose out in the world to come. Now, the Yetzer Hara is really not interested in the world to come, because that's there's something that we don't see. So it's not you can't fight that. You can't argue with that one way or the other. The story is told of one of the pious who went to the marketplace to purchase a certain item and entered a tradesman's store to buy it. The neighbor said to the storekeeper, yield to him and comply with his wishes, for he is a devotee of piety and Torah. The pious one said to him, I do not need your favor. I came here to buy with my money, not with my Torah. He refused to buy the article from the merchant and sought it from another who did not know of him. You understand why? What?
The honor thing.
Right. If he's saying, give him a break. Give him a break. He's a Talmudic scholar. He's a pious guy. Give the guy a break. And the guy is saying, no, I don't want you. I didn't need your breaks. Rabbi Shalom gave me enough money. I came in with the cash. I want to give you money. You don't want it? Forget it. So now I'm going to go to a different guy. Okay, fine. As the verse you quoted, I will make you a great name. Fame is one of the things that human beings aspire in this world, like riches and honors, which the Creator bestows upon His servants when His wisdom so dictates, as is written, I give you also what you did not ask for, namely both riches and honor. That was to Solomon. When God says to Shlomo, what do you want? And he says, I want wisdom. He said, I'll give you wisdom because you didn't ask for riches and honor. I'll give you that too. I'll give you everything. A long life is in the his right hand, and his left hand are riches and poor, as this says in Proverbs. The pious, however, are not motivated in their actions by any of these things. Their intention, rather, is for the sake of the Creator. May he be exalted, who bestows these gifts on him, on whomever he pleases, those devoted to his service and those who are not, believers and non-believers, as his wisdom dictates, as it says, riches and honor come from you. By the way, we say this in the mornings. In the morning in the Sukkah de Zimra. We say this every day. Because we want to remind ourselves that it's all from Hashem. Furthermore, he continues, even if I were to enjoy universal fame, what is this world? If I were to become world famous, what is the measure of my days? How much less value is there in fame, which, widespread as it may be, will reach only a small part of the civilized world, endure but a brief while, and then be forgotten as though it had never been. Now, today, with the internet and everything else, Baruch Hashem, most people will know certain characters. Trump, Obama, Kim Kardashian, all these names that people seem to know. Okay, Hulk Hogan, wrestling is all over the world today. All these pro wrestlers. Okay, so the point is that they are out there, but they're not long lasting. That's the point. That's all I want to say. All the names, we know the names, but when it comes down to it, people after a while don't know who they are. And the proof of that is if you show some college kids pictures of President Bush, former President Bush, still called President. So President Bush, or for that matter, Reagan, they don't know who he is. Did you see those videos? They show pictures to college students. Who is this? They said, I don't know. It was so sad. Yeah, if you showed a picture of Kim Kardashian or something like that, oh, they knew who that was. But the point is that with all the internet, with all the exposure, they wouldn't know some of these people. They just don't know them. So it's brief. That's his point. No matter how far it really gets. And by the way, if I go to the bush, nobody's going to know anybody because they don't have internet. Wherever they don't have internet, these people don't know. Yeah.
It might be on the same level of people. If you actually quiz people on it, they don't know exactly what it is. But things like Rome and Egypt and stuff like that, the ancient civilizations, people
they know of. First of all, they know some of them. I think in our circles know them, right. But I would greatly question if people of your age group really know anything more than the names. I don't think they would really make any. I mean, they may know Caesar because of Caesar salad, but I really don't know how much people will know about the history. I mean, like I said, you guys are readers, so you know them, but most of your generation is not readers. Most of your generation is on the internet, and they're not reading; they're playing games. And they're doing trivia games. So in trivia games, you don't really learn about that. As a matter of fact, since I see the trivia games that they're playing, it's the questions are more of who is this super evil character, and they show a picture of the Batman character or whatever the movie is. So, like I said, I don't know how much I would really question how many people know about Rome or Greece or certainly the Iron Age and so on and so forth, all the way back. I would question on people know about. This is also another crazy thing. Again, you don't watch any of these videos, do you? No. One of the craziest videos was who do the United States break off from? They didn't know. They didn't know.
Broke off from somebody?
What? They didn't know. They had no idea who we. Again. All these, by the way, all these videos, I'm sure they look for the idiots of the world and they cut everything else out. But still, it's so sad that when you ask who the Civil War was between, they don't know. They just don't know.
Rabbi, how many people would know that New England or rather New York used to be a Dutch colony?
Right.
Before it was British, it was Dutch.
Right. Again, all these things. So,
or if they have recognition of a name. they don't know whether they know it because they're good deeds or bad deeds. They're all mixed up.
That's also true. Yeah. So he says, but I'm just trying to bring out that he is saying that no matter how far it's widespread, it's only brief, and it's true. It's very true. No matter how much you get, we're not going. People wouldn't know for the most part Charlie Chaplin anymore, or Abbott and Costello, or the Stooges. They probably still know. I don't know. They may not. Although I think they remade the Three Stooges, but they can't be as good as the original Stooges. But
They're not Jewish now.
say it again.
They're not Jewish now.
No, I think that they can't be as good as Mo and everybody else was, but who knows? It was good slapstick. Although you also can't get away with slapstick today. Mm-hmm. They wouldn't even understand slapstick humor today. So, as Scripture says, human beings are mere breath, mortal men, but an illusion. Put them all on a scale together, they weigh less than a breath. His breath departs, he returns to the earth. There is no memory of the earlier ones. Okay, that's all from Tehillim and Kehelis Ecclesiastes. This being the case, it would be an obvious degradation and a shameful error on my part to preoccupy myself with the world and make it my aim. It is related that one of the pious asked another, do you possess equanimity? And what sense, he asked, are praise and insult equal in your eyes? No. The answer was no. Then you have not yet arrived. Make the effort. Perhaps you will reach this level. For it is the highest level among the pious and the most precious of virtues. So again, you have to, if somebody praises you and somebody insults you, which do you take better or worse?
Insult worse.
You take the insult much worse, right? Praise, you say, oh, please, I'm not so good. We throw down praise. Somebody insults you, oh, you take such umbrage with that. They should be equal in your eyes. If they're equal, now you've reached a level. That's what you're supposed to tell the Yetzer Hara. Okay. When evil inclination despairs of enticing you along these lines, it will try to ruin your religious practice by occupying your mind with this world and its people, with your endless desires, and through disregard of your latter end. When it sees that you want to clear your mind and turn your attention to acts that will make you worthy of the next world, such as obligatory or optional prayer, or when you read the Torah or study any field relating to faith or morals, it will try to confuse and distract you with worldly matters, thoughts of business, buying and selling, profits and losses. You understand? So, by the way, when you're studying for your homework, the Yetzer Hara, it wouldn't fight you as much. But how many times have you drifted off when you're studying something you really don't enjoy?
How many times, this is a more apt thing is, how many times have we gotten so close that we almost missed Mincha? Oh no, we have to get our homework done. We did it and hours and hours and hours. We almost missed Mincha.
Okay, there you go. So that's, okay, fine. So now, because you're seeing, okay, you're going the other way. Fine. So here you have to daven mincha. Instead of doing it first, in other words, by the way, the best thing to do is you find out the earliest that you can daven mincha. And then what happens is when mincha comes up and giving you a way to deal with your Yetzer Hara, when the first time comes up, since you're not going to get to minyan, you know you're not going to go to minyan. So then what you do is you stop everything, you daven at that point, and then you continue on. Same thing would be for shachar, same thing would be for Mariv. If you're working, sometimes you're working, you're going to miss the Mariv because while in this town we can catch multiple Marivs, at 9:45 at night it stops. Marivs then cease to be in this town. So if you're in New York, then if you're in not New York, but it has to be Flatbush Borough Park, it can go till 3 in the morning. But at this point, 9:45. So if you know you're not going to make a 9:45 minyan, the last one, so then you should, the minute it gets dark, the first opportunity you should daven. Because otherwise what's going to happen is you're going to push it off. You're going to push it off. You're going to be tired. You're going to fall asleep, and you're not going to daven. So that's Yetzer Hara. Correct. That is Yetzer Hara. When he's trying to ruin that by saying, "Oh, you have to do this. Drive 10 more minutes. Do a little more studying. Look how far you can get ahead, and then you'll daven. You have plenty of time to daven. Don't worry about it. The sun's not going down, or the sun's not coming up. Whatever the case is going to be." So I'll say to you, here we go, you should gladly welcome this free time, this idle period, since because of your busy schedule, you may not have such an opportunity at another time. Now is the time to make an accounting with your partner of your assets and liabilities, how much you have collected and what is due you, and how much is outstanding. Think now about which means to a livelihood are suitable for you and which are not. Recall which of your ventures gave you satisfaction and which you regretted. If you have a case pending in court, review in your mind all of your opponent's pleas and your own. Think of different strategies and outwit and defeat him when the case is tried. By the way, when's the best time people are going to do this? During Shemona Esrei. It's a one-on-one with the Rebbeinu Shalom, with the Lord, and your mind is flying all over the place. I mean, Pesukah de Zimra, okay, that's also time when people are thinking like that. It's during our times of prayer, we are so distracted, and that's why people go slow. Some people go very slow, some people go very fast, some people don't remember if they said Mashiv Haruchim or the Geshem 2 seconds after they said it. So why? Because our mind wasn't there. We went to autopilot. Okay, that's all Yetzer Hara. And what?
And then there's the top.
Tachon, you go to sleep, right? It's all the Yetzer Hara. And it's ruining your religious things. So too, if you have liquid assets, sheep and cattle or land to be sown, or if you must perform some service for government officials or a private citizen, or have some accounts to settle with either, or if you have debts that you cannot pay, or friends whose affairs you have to watch over, and of which you must give a conscientious account, the tempter will bring one of these kinds of concerns to your mind at the time that you free yourself for serving Hashem, in order to preoccupy you with them and ruin your religious practice. For when you perform it, you will be present in body, but absent in heart and mind. That's again what I was talking about. If the evil inclination does not distract you in the way just mentioned, it will remind you of riddles and involve you in lengthy deliberations. If the person is one of those who throw dice or play chess and the like, the tempter will cause the individual's mind to picture such a game, and he will be thinking of the moves that should be made at an earlier or later stage of the game, and the various strategies to be employed in order to win it. Yeah.
The day you don't even picture it, you have apps on your phone, you can play chess.
Yeah, what?
The day you don't even have to picture a game of chess, you can just go on your phone and play chess.
Correct. But the point is that when you're thinking about it, a good chess player, and that's why I picked on chess, a good chess player thinks about the game and figures out what moves to make, right? So that when you start the game, you're already 30 moves ahead, or whatever the amount would be. And by the way, when you think about your move, you have to think about the other person's move.
All the possible moves.
What they're going to do.
Yeah.
You want to anticipate what they will do. So, I mean, it's not just your game. You're playing the other person's game, so you're trying to trick that person into doing what you want. And if you do, then you win. And if you don't, then he beats you. Okay? Unless you both stink at the game, and then it's just a matter of playing checkers and moving wood,
If
But
neither of you know how to play chess,
right, then it's a worthless game. But the point is that if by the way, this would also, again, let's say I'm into computers, programming computers. So when I'm thinking of programming computers, you do become absorbed by that concept of, what do I do? At least in the old days, I'm sure programming had these. While the language has changed, the concept hasn't. You have to still think about what the program is going to do. So you're running through that. It's very hard to break off from your job or from what you're doing to do something else, which is why And the Gemara had said that the Hasidim Rishonim would take an hour to prepare themselves for prayer. We don't do that. We prepare us. We walk in. There's no preparation necessary. But it really does hurt us because we're not thinking about what we're doing, and as a result, we drift off. So, if a person escapes all of the above and is one of those devoted to wisdom and understanding, the evil inclination will bring to his mind a difficult subject in learning and distract him with questions and answers, contradictions, and resolutions. And it will call his attention to a point that he missed in his study, which he should have considered, or remind him of what he still has to learn, so that he will begin to think about how he's going to about how to go about doing it. In this way, the evil inclination will distract him in all the acts of worship and cause him twice as much damage as benefit. Okay, so that's another thing. Here I am, I'm davening. Okay, I'm talking to God one-on-one. Next thing I realize is, oh wow, I really should start learning Daf Yomi, or I could be learning Mishnayos, or I could be learning Chumash. Oh, that's right, I have to do that. Oh, the problem comes up. What did that Rashi? What mean? So on and so forth. Here I am talking to God, and something comes from left field that I shouldn't be doing, but it's Torah. So you would think, okay, halacha, it's all within the rubric, so maybe I'm not so bad with that, which is why when you're listening to Shemona Esrei being repeated, one of the laws is, besides I'm not allowed to talk to my neighbor about stupidities, I also can't talk to my neighbor about Torah. For that matter, I'm not allowed to learn Torah. I'm supposed to listen to the Chazan, respond Amen, but listening to every word. That's what I'm supposed to be doing, not saying long tachna. Okay? Not putting my head down. I'm not supposed to be drifting. I'm supposed to be listening. So all these things that we're supposed to be doing, if we don't do that, that's the Yetzer Hara. We have to remember where all this is coming from. It is possible for a person to begin an act of worship and finish it while preoccupied throughout with some other worldly matter. He may ask Hashem's forgiveness with his tongue, while in his mind and heart he is anxious to rebel against him. It was of this that one of the pious said, such a request for forgiveness necessitates a request for forgiveness.
What?
Such a request for forgiveness necessitates a request for forgiveness. In other words, if I said, Salach lana ki chatana, right? Forgive me because we have sinned. But I'm not thinking of it, I'm drifting. That itself, I have to ask Hashem to forgive me for.
That's also a sin.
Say?
That's also a sin. That you drifted off and weren't paying attention.
Well, yeah, because I'm asking you.
Yeah.
I'm just asking God to forgive me, but I'm just mouthing the words. It's just rote. So it's like you insult somebody. So what do? You say, sorry. What are you sorry about? I don't know. I know what you're supposed to say. So sorry. Well, are you sorry you did it? No. But again, just conversation. Or when somebody says to you, "Good morning," and you say "Good morning," and then you say, "How are you?" Okay. Now you're not listening to the response. You don't really care about the response. It's polite. Say hello. How are you? Fine. And then they ask you. You say fine, thank you, and you respond good. That's it. Hello, how are you? Fine, thank you, good. So we get into that routine of I come to you, good morning, how are you? And then you say, and then Poloni will say, oh, I couldn't believe I had a bad dream, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you telling me? Did I say something? Did I ask you that you really should think I cared?
My God, you've broken the tradition.
All right, you just say, fine, thank you. Baruch Hashem, leave me alone. I don't need to know all this stuff. But that's when you're not really, so you don't care. You don't really care. You're just doing it out of politeness. So here too, if I am speaking to God and I'm saying, forgive me, Lord. But I don't even know why I said it. I'm just doing it from road. So that's when they said, you have to ask forgiveness for that. So he may plead before God with members of his body, while turning them away from him in his heart and consciousness, as it says in Scripture, with their mouth and with their lips they honor me, while with their heart they keep far away from me. That's from Isaiah. And now from Tehillim it says, they flattered God with their mouths, lied to God with their tongues, and their hearts were disloyal to God. At this point, a person may awaken, engage in self-scrutiny, and say to himself, how dare I behave toward the Creator in a way that would be improper toward his creatures, if I needed them or if they needed me? For if I approached someone for a favor, and while asking him with my tongue to do it, my attention was turned away from him, were he to note this attitude in me, he would loathe and detest me, and would certainly refuse my request. How much more so if he knew that what had preoccupied me at that time was not something pleasing to him, but infuriating to him. In that case, his animosity toward me would be greater, and he would be even more justified in denying me the favor. I would undoubtedly act the same way if someone asked me for a favor, and I knew what was in his mind corresponded to what the Creator knows to have been in mine. How then can I not be ashamed before my Creator to expect him to be pleased with such an attitude on my part? An attitude I would not be pleased with another person as weak as myself, and which a weak and needy fellow creature would not be pleased to find in me. As it says in Scripture, again, Jeremiah, they are not at all ashamed and do not know what it is to blush. So again, if you want to figure out what you're doing, what Rav Bachia is suggesting is that you put it on you. You understand what I'm saying? Reflect, if I'm speaking to you, but I'm really not speaking, I'm just doing it rote and I have something else in mind, then I should put myself in your place, or in this situation, God's place, and say, how would I act? Would I want to be spoken to like that, where you're speaking to me, but you really don't, you're not even thinking about what you're saying, you're just giving out stuff, and it's empty. Like I said, when people say, I'm sorry, I always say, are you sorry if you did it, or are you sorry because I caught you? If you're sorry because I caught you, I really don't care. If you're sorry that you did it, we can move on from there. So that's what Hashem is basically saying to us. You want something from me, but you're not coming to me with a full heart. You're just saying the words, or asking me rote, but it's not really there. So why should I listen to you? You wouldn't listen, so why should I listen? So if a person does this, the evil inclination will then be defeated. Okay? When the evil inclination despairs of enticing you this way, it will try to entice you by suggesting that you avoid all hypocrisy. It will say to you, you will be unable to achieve perfection in the wholehearted service of God unless you have rid yourself of all forms of currying favor, large and small. The only way to avoid currying favors with others is by concealing from them your religious activities and by showing the opposite of what is in your heart. Here we go. So he couldn't get you to brag. He couldn't get to that. So now he says, okay, you know what? I think what you should do is not let anybody see anything, and more than that, trick them by acting the opposite way. Then you'll really be a pious person, because nobody will know who you are. When you pray, be short, and do not appear to go about it eagerly or energetically. When you wish to study any wisdom, seclude yourself. Let no one know of this other than the Creator. By the way, what's the problem with learning by yourself?
You don't correct yourself.
Say it again?
You can't correct yourself.
You can't correct yourself. You don't even know if you're right or wrong. Right. When somebody's arguing with you, when somebody's just learning with you, then you also, by the way, when you're learning by yourself, you also don't know if you get it. Because you don't have to explain to anybody. Nobody's challenging or saying, I don't understand that. What does that mean? So you don't have to even prove yourself. So there's a couple of bad things about learning alone. He continues, do not display any good traits. Appear to be lazy and lethargic in serving Hashem. so that you not make a name for yourself and lose your reward. Do not urge others to what is right, or warn them against what is wrong. Do not publicize your knowledge, and do not teach it to others. Show no sign of reverence to Hashem, nor any evidence of serving Him, so the people not honor you for these virtues. Okay, so that's an interesting way of doing it. We're going to go the exact opposite way. The ideal way to be scrupulous in avoiding hypocrisy is to consort with all classes of people, to act as they act, walk in their ways, and follow in their paths in regard to sincerity and jest, and not to be so weary of lying and taking oaths. Join with them in eating and drinking and riddle making, excessive talking and joking and tale-bearing and gossiping. In short, do everything to avoid a reputation of abstinence. How many people do you think give into this argument? A lot of people, right? It's called, they want, when they go into their student lounges or teacher lounges, you always say about the teacher lounges.
Fit in.
You have to fit in. In order to fit in, you find you have to use the language, or you have to laugh at the right places instead of saying that wasn't funny. I mean, the worst thing you can do is and because it's true, most comedians are not funny. I don't know if you ever noticed that, but most comedians are not funny. And some of them are really funny, some of them are very funny, and I enjoy listening to them. But others are not funny at all. But if you watch, but the audience thinks that they're funny. So in order to be part of the audience, you laugh, even though it's not funny. It's actually a dumb joke. Okay?
Mob mentality.
Say it again?
Mob mentality.
Right. And that's what the Yetzer is saying to do. You become part of that mob, because if you're not, then you're going to be, people will know who you are, and they're going to say you're a hypocrite. So we don't want to do that, right? You can't, because if you brag about what you're doing, and you let people know, then you're the modest person that says, I'm modest. I'm the most modest person in this room. Well, guess what? He just lost being modest. So you're just a hypocrite. So he says, you help my enemies. Oh, I'm sorry. So if you listen to the evil inclination in this regard, it will deprive you of your faith without you realizing it. But you may answer it and say to it, again, it's all for the Hara, you help my enemies by fighting me and scheming against me to destroy my strength and hasten my ruin. Why should I flee from a smaller fire into a larger one? The very reason I flee with love of prestige. The very reason I flee from love of prestige and honor is to avoid self-adornment before others. And yet, you would have me adorn myself before them by renouncing the service of God. It is proper for me to keep private that religious activity that can be carried out perfectly without people's knowledge. But as for participating in public worship, urging others to what is right and warning them against what is wrong, teaching wisdom, practicing kindness, and the like, there is no virtue in neglecting or forsaking these to avoid the charge of hypocrisy. Rather, I am obligated to perform them for the sake of heaven, and if people praise and honor me for doing so, that will not detract at all from my reward, since my intent in performing them was not to gain praise or honor. By the way, that's something you have to check at the door too. Right? Why am I going to help out? Why am I going to raise money? Why am I going to encourage people to do it, to do mitzvot? Is it because of my praise, or is it because I want people to think what a great guy I am? Or is it because I'm doing it l'shem shamayim? That's something you have to, that every single person has to check at the door. Okay? There is an old saying, when you do something and other people are aware of your performance, if you wish to determine whether your motive is pure, test yourself in two ways. First, know what reward you expect for this act and from whom you expect it. If you expect it from God, the act is purely motivated. But if you expect it from anyone beside him, it is not purely motivated. In other words, are you expecting a thank you? Most people want thank you. Some sort of recognition, correct. That's what we want. We want you to recognize this. We're not, people know how to criticize quite well, but the question is, can you thank somebody? Now, if I'm doing it for the thank you, then it is not L'Shem Shamayim. You should thank me. Don't get me wrong. You should thank me. But I shouldn't do it, so you thank me. You understand? Second, ask yourself, if you were alone, would you perform the act in the same way? That's also, he throws a gauntlet down this one. If you were alone, nobody was watching you, you're never going to get anybody to know, would you or would you not do the same thing? If the answer is yes, your act is wholly devoted to Hashem. Increase your performance of it. But if the answer is that you would do less, then desist from it until your heart is refined and the motive is for the sake of heaven. Now, that is, again, he's speaking and he's saying, okay, this is what you're going to answer the Yetzer Hara, and so on and so forth. But you have to, but before you decease, and now I'm speaking, before you don't do it, you should remember there's a classical remark in the Gemara. Lo lishma, I say lo lishma, because in other words, perform it not for the sake of heaven, because when you do that, ultimately you will do it for the sake of heaven. Okay, understand? Because otherwise, if we are going to wait till we do it, till we're only doing it l'shem shamayim, we'll never do anything. First, we have to start, and that's why when we start a kid learning Chumash, what we do, we put a little piece of honey on the letter. So he'll take the honey, he'll lick it, he'll think, oh, it's sweet. Okay, right? You never did. See, you don't remember if you did. You don't even. Truth is, you wouldn't remember. But you're trying to use this to a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. So he's learning. You're giving the sweets. As he gets older, you're giving rewards. You're giving different types of rewards. I want you to do this, I give you a reward. So now you're doing it for the sake of the reward. There's no question you're doing it for the sake of reward. But as it goes on and on and on and on and on, you become conditioned to doing it. And now you're going to do it. You're going to realize sooner or later, oh, you know what? I'm not doing it for the candy. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because Hashem told me to. Nah, that's L'Shem Shamayim. But it takes a while to get there. Nobody's expecting a kid who is egocentric from birth. Everything's about me. That's a child. He cries, people come to him, so on and so forth. That's every single child. Nobody's expecting that child to do it for no reason. Nobody's expecting somebody to go to work without want of money. We all want something. But after a while, again, we'll start doing it for the right reasons. That's what he said. That's what we want to get to. So if this is your answer, the evil inclination will then be defeated. If the evil inclination finds no way to mislead you along these lines, it will try to dupe you with a more subtle device, namely the concept of reward and punishment in this world and the next. It will say to you, we'll do one more, you are one of the Creator's close adherents and treasured ones. A person like you is surely worthy of reward here and hereafter. You should therefore exert yourself to the utmost of your ability. Perhaps you will attain this reward through your deeds and dedication in serving Hashem. Set this reward before your sight and try with all of your power to attain it. For it is your ultimate bliss and joy. As David said, light is sown away for the righteous, and joy for the upright in heart. If you will listen to the evil inclination and rely on his words, it will cause you to fall into a form of concealed polytheism, and that you have made yourself the object of your worship. By striving for what will give you selfish pleasure and happiness and rid you of anxieties and griefs, you will have proven that, if not for this expectation of yours, you would have shown ingratitude for Hashem's constant favors toward you, and would not have obligated yourself to his service on account of them. Moreover, you would fail to see that it is fitting to serve him simply because of his majesty, awesome power, and manifestations of wisdom. It was of this that our masters of blessed memory said, "Be not like servants who serve the master on condition of receiving a reward, but be like the servants who serve the master not on condition of receiving a reward." Yeah.
Isn't this where you get the Sadducees from?
Yes.
The Sadducees?
Well, you got, Baitus and Sadok.
Right, the ones who...
They broke off.
The
Right?
ones who don't believe in the oral Torah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. When it gives up, that's from Pirkei Avos. So Antigonus Ishalcho, he said this. His two students misunderstood what he was saying. They broke off and decided the whole thing was fake. And because of that, the rabbi said, "Be careful with what you say, lest your students go off and drink dirty water." In other words, they become apikorsim. So we had this. So even though we keep using this line over and over again, it was something that we understand, but Baitos and Tzadok chose to misunderstand it.
It also is on the flip
Say
side,
it again?
on the flip side of that is also on the students' side. They should always ask questions if they don't understand it.
Correct. That's what it says. Baishon lo lamed, right? A person who is embarrassed to ask will never learn. So when it gives up hope of misleading you in the way just mentioned, it will cast you into a sea of doubts concerning the problem of compulsion, or predetermination, injustice, free will. When it sees that you are negligent in your religious practice and inclined toward the way of disobedience, it will try to convince you of compulsion using forced arguments from Torah and tradition in order to furnish you with a wide range of excuses. It will say to you, if the Creator wanted you to serve Him, He would compel you and drive you to it, and there would be no deviating from what was predetermined from Him. Could you oppose what He determines or resist His decree? You can only do what has been determined for you to do, for control of all things is in the hand of the Creator. May it be exalted, as it says, I am God who has done all. If it sees you engage in some secular, if it sees you engage in some secular endeavor and concern, it will say to you, behold, beware of laziness and sloth, and rely on no one but yourself, for you have control of the good and the bad. You have power to be active or passive. Exert yourself with all of... What? Exert yourself with all of your strength and labor with all of your energy, and you will attain all that you desire of worldly pleasures. Do all that you can to avoid the cause of misfortune. You will escape them. As a wise one said, thorns and snares are in the twisted path. He who guards himself will keep far from them. A man's folly warps his ways, yet his heart rages against God. This is your own doing, and so the evil inclination changes its argument at times, basing it on compulsion and predetermination, at other times on justice and free will, as occasion suits. It will mislead and weaken you. But if you wake up and take to heart what our masters of blessed memory said, all is in the hands of heaven, except the fear of heaven, you will exert yourself in religious matters as one who is convinced that all his actions will determine his reward and punishment. For it says, for according to a man's acts he pays him, according to a man's ways he provides him. And you will conduct yourself in secular matters as would one who is convinced that his every motion and the vicissitudes he experiences in his affairs are all in accord with what the Creator, may He be exalted, determines, and so he relies upon Him in all. He relies on Him in all of them, and casts his burden on Hashem, as it says in Tehillim, "Cast your burden on Hashem." We'll have to stop there.